Okay, today I'm going to do a male portrait, just a senior boy who does need some work. Was probably quickly cleaned up, like the background and such, pre sales presentation. Yet, in a senior's case, there are usually so many. I don't pre retouch, but a few that are my standout favorites. However, when they buy 20, 24, 30 poses, that does leave new images yet to be done. So the place I usually start is with the major blems, and I do like this spot healing brush. And that works in a number of sizes, but it's a super easy tool to use. I find it to be a really good first pass. There will be smoothing out that needs to be done in cloning, that kind of thing, burn and dodge, but this is really a super fast way for me to get rid of the blemishes and the lines and even things in the background, threads hanging out of the clothing, all kinds of things that can be quickly eradicated with this tool. So it doesn't always work on lines in the neck, but I'll try a few. So he's already much, much, much better. So we're going to hit maybe some shine next with a cloning tool at maybe 25. And let's give that a shot right here. I'm going to say the shine first. Just very gentle passes to kind of fill in some of the shine area. There we go. And then as I see on this boy's portraits, I want to straighten his nose out with a little darkness there. Minimize some shine right there. Again, opacity is about 28 on that. Then I'm going to soften up the bags under his eyes, which are nothing much for somebody his age. But I usually just go uphill and grab, in this case, some of the highlight and kind of click it around there. And I never remove the bags altogether. So there you go. Just get some quick cleanup. There's some rough skin that needs to be blended into shadow a tiny bit. Skin is way better, but still could be smoother. So with the low opacity like this, back and forth, you can smooth it right up. And I may want to use a dynamic skin softening filter or something on him because it is a little bit rough. But it looks much better already. And that was only a minute or two. Okay. Whoops, that one didn't work. So undo it, clean up. Soften any other lines you find. Adam's apple, I like to soften that up a little bit if I can. Don't eliminate. There's a spot in the background I don't like. So I'll get rid of that. Now this collar is also crunched. A little tougher, but go a little higher opacity. A little smaller brush. A little closer. Let's just try to continue some of this in here and a little bit that way. A little bit this way. A little bit that way. Maybe reduce the opacity a little bit. There we go. And we've smoothed out that collar. Let's look at history real quick. See where we started on that collar. I think that's probably about it. Maybe one or two more. Let's see. There it is. So we go from there on the collar right here to that with just a few seconds work. It does have some other wrinkles we could attend to as well. A soft cloner will usually do it. So let me raise it up a little bit and just do a little blending just to kind of get rid of some of these really obvious wrinkles. Can't take them all away and don't want to, but you want to soften the effect. Just clean it up a little bit. That's all I'm really ever doing in my retouching. I don't overdo anything. Some of the lumps in the jackets and such, I usually will attack those. Even his collar looks a little bit off, so I mean his cuff. So I'm gonna just fix that up a little bit. Just raise that up a little bit here and clean that up a tiny bit. Make it a little more shapely. Okay. It's kind of weird. It looks like it's rolled over. But if you've done this before or haven't done it, every portrait seems to get some of this liquify. Of course, I've gone opacity of 0 on a lasso tool. And I'm simply going to take that, go to filter, liquify, and I'm just going to push in that bump a little bit. I'm going to say I want a tool that's about the same size as the area. So there, before I can just go in and be pretty seamless about it. There you go. It's done. Boom, just like that. So he's in pretty good shape. And I think for now, we'll go on to something else. Almost finished. I've done the majority of the cleanup, but it still needs a bit more work. So we'll go ahead and do a little bit more retouching. How about under the eyes a little bit? I use a cloning tool at an opacity of about 25 generally. And I move the dark up into the light area first. Then I come in from some texture and add that texture back in and refine. I lift some of this lighter area up here into the eye socket a little bit to just soften that as needed. If this starts getting dingy, I'll move some of this highlight back up in there to lighten that back up again. Here, we'll do the other one on this side. And I'm quite the minimalist as far as retouching goes. So I'm doing a very gentle under retouched effect and looking for places to clean up that are going to show up in his prints. And some tools that are really good, besides the cloning tool, of course, are this brush right here, the spot healing brush tool. Great for taking spots out. Let's find a couple real simple ones here to clean up. This is one of the better, I think, more recent inventions in our toolkit. Helps quite a bit. So I enjoy using that one in a mixture with the cloning tool to clean up the flesh and maintain some texture. So there you go. Now also, let's get some of these on the forehead. I think I went through him quickly pre-sale. Now that it's purchased, I do even more work. So this highlight, I think his nose has too many highlights. So I'm going to go back to my cloning tool. First I see this is a little dark right here, so I'm going to open that up a little bit, smooth out that skin a little bit. It's always little touch-ups. I'm going to bring some darker tone into this second shine. That might be too much. So I undo it. Just softly bring in some tone to fill in that shine a little bit. One shine is enough. One highlight is enough for me. That looks a little better to me. So a few more skin areas, which we can do again with cloning brush. Just try and smooth out all the little imperfections you might find when you zoom in. By the time they buy an 8x10, none of this will ever be seen at all. So it'll look as clean as can be. Now there are tools you can use. Whoops, that's too heavy. On like Portraiture or other portrait retouching programs to go and put a little extra, what you call correctiveness into the face. I don't use that very often unless I have someone that really, really needs it. One thing I will use on a female perhaps is a little bit of my Nic Filter, which I have. Let's take a look at it real quick. I'll do it on him. Maybe for a little dynamic skin softener. I like that a little bit. So this we just kind of mix in. Just blend, blend, blend. There it is, pretty good. A little harsh shine on his little pointed ear. That's not good. So let's cover that up a little bit. Get a little darker tone. Bring it on over. Just kind of cover up that super highlight there. No one will ever see that. So that looks pretty good. Now, the filters that I often go to would be in the color effects by Nic, which of course are very inexpensive nowadays, if not free. All right, and I use a dozen of them, but the one I like the best is this one, Dynamic Skin Softener. And the presets are fine because I'm going to fade it or erase it anyway. So I'm just going to say OK. It's going to create a second layer for me. And then from that, I'll erase back the highlight I need. I wouldn't mind the background being softer and some of his highlight skin being softer. So let's take a quick look at that. We'll put it into the in a layers view here. And this is the diffused layer. So if we take it off, you'll see the difference in the skin. Check it out right here. For a gal, that's something I always use. For a guy, less. So what I'm going to do often, because I want the eyes, eyebrows, and such to be 100% sharp, I'll turn off my second layer and just erase the first layer. I usually use somewhere between 30 and 50% opacity. So there we are. And what I'm going to do is erase that which I want to remain super sharp. So here it is. That's going to be 100% sharp. The eyebrow as well. The mouth can remain sharp. This will all melt right in, so no one will be the wiser. Up my brush size and go ahead and delete some of the softening from his hair as well. Okay, the background, like I said, I don't mind it getting a little softer. So the shirt can be sharper. So I'll clean off some of that. All right. And then what I often do is, now you know that I have 100% sharp eyes, but a softer skin. And I can turn that off to the full ruddiness of his skin. And for a guy, again, I'm not going to keep all that softness. I'm going to back it off halfway or so because I just don't want him to be so made up. So he's good there. I'm going to go ahead and save that one and close it, and we're done with that one. All right, we are back to yet another image from the same session, and on this one it appears for the most part a lot of retouching is done. The reason for that is because I always pre-retouch my favorite images before they are sold, before the preview event. So when they do make the purchase, I go back and complete the retouching. So looking quickly at this, I have the issue like before where I prefer to trim the shine on our guy's nose just a little bit. So I'm going to try that, a little from both sides, just to minimize that shine a tiny bit. Eyes look good, teeth look pretty good. Not too bad, not too bad. All right, he's got a little bit of rugged skin there, but again, I don't think it's anything big. So I'm going to get over to Mother because she needs a lot more now that she's made the purchase. First place I like to start is the skin. And if there's anything that I can use this tool for, I will. There really isn't too much that is what I would call, a mark or a acne or anything like that. So this one is not going to do a lot on this particular lady. So I'm going to go to my cloning tool and go ahead and clean her up some more. So back to the cloner. Start under the eyes. Opacity 22 is not bad. This is light, this is dark. I'm going to pull a little bit of lightness in because we have a habit of making our cheeks too dark when they start getting filled in. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a little bit of quick reduction of her little baggy eyes there. It's not complete, it's just a quick cleanup here. All right, and it's a little bit warm right in there. I might go ahead and lighten that a little bit on that side, and probably do some lightening right here too on that side of the nose. All right. Now, a little missing texture there, but that can be regained with the other patch tool or healing brush. So I'm just going to go ahead and blend this skin a little bit. And as you know, I might want to use a skin softener, dynamic skin softener on this, which will help her quite a bit. Now, shine is not too bad. A little redness in there. I'll try and alleviate some of the shine in the cheek. This is all just cloning tool at like 22%. And I'm just doing a little bit of soft brush blending, just kind of making that skin a little smoother, more even. Now, I'm sure she's going to like to have this neckline fixed up a little bit. So I'll take some of that lighter flesh there and clean up here a bit. All right. The other thing I do often is I use a burning tool in here. Looks like there was some work done here already. I see those lines. Probably a very quick pre-sale cleanup done on that. Just brighten the eyes, brighten the teeth a little bit. She seems pretty good. Again, on this one, we're not making a gigantic print, so I'm just illustrating some techniques. So let's go to our dodge, lighten a tiny bit. Looks pretty good. I probably already did a little bit on that. Now the burning tool we talked about, we can put a little bit of shading into this here around the eye, make it a little more dramatic. It can be used other places too, and I'm thinking right now shading right here on the jaw a little bit. Separate the neck from the chin and the head, make it a little nicer. The arm is not perfect, so it can be worked on a little bit. In this case, we'll ease up that armpit a tiny bit. Okay, make this smoother in here. It's not going to get much because it's not going to be seen much. A little bit of red over here. If you can see that, I'm going to just minimize that a tiny bit. Not too bad. All right, so I'm considering this kind of a quickie job to kind of blend out some areas so they don't distract. Hand's a little bit actually dark in here because of where it is in the lighting scenario. So it may not be an unwise thing to mask that up a little bit. I'm at 77. It's a quick default opacity. I'm just going to go ahead and lighten that arm a little bit. Just going to use levels. And might need a little color balance as well. It's a little green looking in the shadow there, so might just add a little bit of red to that hand. Make it look a little more normalized in there. So, of course, now that we can see it, it needs a little more work. Alrighty. So I'm just blending a little bit. Obvious lines. Veins can be played down a tiny bit. Now, honestly, there are some great retouchers, of course. I don't consider myself one of them. I do what I need to do to sell my portraits and be happy with them. So it's not extensive generally. It's just enhancement, cleanup and enhancement. Just kind of make it a little nicer. Sometimes I zoom back and look. If you get too close for too long, you can lose sight of how much you really need to do. All right, so pretty good. I think we need to get do a little cleanup on the hair. Here I'll go to a higher opacity, and I'll just clean up some ends. Just pulling some background over the top of it, just to make it a little neater. I really don't mind a few strays, but you gotta try and make it so it doesn't distract. There's a line in the background right there. She's pretty good on that side. Nothing on her garment. So it's probably fine for her little print right there. Beautiful.